The neighborhood hosted a 4th of July barbecue every year. Families gathered together, kids played games, and everyone usually got along. I had lived there for 3 years. Most neighbors knew me as a quiet veteran. Very few knew much about my past, and I preferred it that way. Tyler loved being the center of attention. He competed in amateur tournaments and rarely missed an opportunity to talk about it. People usually smiled and listened. His father encouraged the attention. Richard constantly praised Tyler's accomplishments and often reminded everyone about his black belt. Every conversation seemed to return to it. Eventually, Tyler focused on me. I hadn't joined conversations. I hadn't watched the demonstrations, and that seemed to bother him. Tyler started asking questions. What sports did I play? Did I ever train? Could I handle myself? I answered politely. Years ago, I had military experience. That was enough information, at least for me. Instead of ending the conversation, it seemed to motivate Tyler. He suddenly became much more interested and much more competitive. Richard laughed and encouraged him. Several neighbors looked uncomfortable. The mood began to change, and tension slowly appeared. Then Tyler made a challenge. He wanted to prove himself in front of everyone, and he expected me to participate. Tyler repeated his challenge. He wanted everyone watching. The crowd grew quiet, and all eyes turned toward me. I politely declined. The barbecue wasn't the place for arguments. People came to enjoy the evening, not watch unnecessary drama. Tyler mistook calmness for fear. He laughed and made jokes. A few people forced nervous smiles. Most remained silent. Richard didn't stop him. Instead, he encouraged behavior. He seemed convinced Tyler would impress everyone. The opposite was beginning to happen. Several neighbors started whispering. The situation felt uncomfortable. People had come to relax, not witness a public confrontation. I gave the same answer again. No thanks. That should have ended the discussion. But Tyler wasn't finished. Tyler became increasingly frustrated. His voice grew louder. The crowd backed away slightly, and the atmosphere changed. Some longtime residents stepped aside. They could see where things were heading, and they didn't like it. Neither did I. I reminded Tyler that confidence doesn't require proving anything. Real strength is usually quiet. A few neighbors nodded. Tyler rolled his eyes. For the first time, people questioned Tyler openly. Several residents defended my decision. The crowd support began shifting, and Richard noticed. One neighbor mentioned my military background. Another remembered seeing service awards. People suddenly became curious, and Tyler stopped smiling for a moment. Questions started spreading through the crowd. What exactly had I done in the military? Why was I so calm? And why wasn't I reacting? I explained that training teaches discipline. The goal is avoiding unnecessary conflict, not creating it. The crowd appreciated the answer. Someone eventually contacted local authorities, not because of a fight, but because the argument kept escalating. Deputy Collins arrived shortly afterward. The deputy listened to everyone involved. Several witnesses described what happened. Their stories matched closely, and the situation was finally reaching a turning point. Deputy Collins compared every statement. The accounts were remarkably consistent. Witnesses described repeated challenges and repeated attempts to avoid conflict. Then the conversation shifted. Residents began sharing what they knew about me: years of military service, leadership roles, and a reputation for discipline. For the first time all evening, Tyler stopped talking. He realized the situation wasn't what he assumed, and the crowd noticed a change. Richard finally pulled Tyler aside. The event had gone too far. The attention they wanted wasn't positive, and he knew it. With the tension gone, the barbecue returned to normal. People relaxed. Conversations resumed, and the evening finally felt enjoyable again. The biggest lesson wasn't about strength. It was about self-control. Real confidence doesn't need an audience, and respect is earned through actions,